So let's go ahead and talk about the next team. We're talking about Notre Dame. So Notre Dame came off a huge win over Pitt, right? And a lot of people are already start going, "Oh, Notre Dame, now they're back." And because everybody has this recency bias thing, now they're again some huge threat to Clemson. A couple weeks ago, they were like, "Oh, scored 12 points against Louisville. Clemson's going to destroy them," right? It's the same with North Carolina. Everybody did the same thing. You lost to Florida State, then you beat up on NC State, and it's like, "Oh, they're back elite." I'm not going to sit here and say Notre Dame is not a great football team. They are great.
No, I'm going to sit here and say
they are not elite.
They're not even close to Clemson. And I've said that.
No, they're not. We know this.
Quarterback play, massive thumbs down, in my opinion. I would say average on the – if you look at where would you rank Ian Book among college quarterbacks? Is he even in the top 10 or 15?
No. I don't know.
He's just an average.
Look, I'll just go ahead and say this. The quarterback we're going to play this weekend who was behind Ian Book last year.
He's a lot better than Ian Book. Notre Dame chose the wrong QB. I mean, Jurkovich is out here in a pro-style offense. And Boston College weapons might be better than Notre Dame.
They are. I had this conversation. Let's go ahead. Let me get into that.
Yeah.
Let me get into that. Just for the Notre Dame fans that try to come for me with that on Twitter, okay? I'm going to hit you with some facts.
You don't have good receivers.
You had Ben Skoranek, right? He's a transfer. He's probably your best receiver. Outside of that, you really don't have any weapons. You're having to throw the ball to Kyron Williams, your running back, because you don't have anybody. Now, you have good tight ends. I'll go ahead and say that. I think they have some guys that might end up being potential like first rounders at tight end. But you can't throw to those guys every single time. You don't, and you won't. Here's my thoughts about it, okay? First and foremost, Notre Dame's claim to fame has always been the run game. This is why you have those big 6'7", 320-pound linemen. All you do is run the ball. This is why Ian Book, at 6 foot tall, you can't see him at all, but until he's running out of the pocket, right? But they are a legit running threat. I'm seeing things that Syracuse did that kind of makes me shudder a little bit, thinking about the Notre Dame run game against Clemson, right? But you don't have enough weapons to truly keep up with Clemson. I've said this, and I will not back down from it. I don't think that Syracuse is that bad of a defense. Also don't think that Notre Dame is going to be that good of a defense, especially going up against Clemson. But I'll say this. A lot of people were like, Notre Dame, they beat up on Pitt with Joey Yellen at quarterback. Joey Yellen is not a good quarterback. He's not Kenny Pickett. A lot of people were ragging on Pittsburgh saying, their offense is so bad. No, they're not. You lose a quarterback like Kenny Pickett, the guy who was, before he got injured, the leading passer in NCAA football, over Trevor Lawrence, over Mac Jones. Yeah, they were doing some stuff. But, you're not impressing me by beating up on Pitt. But I'll say this. I think they're focused now.
Notre Dame?
Yes. So Brian Kelly, they did something I've never really seen a team do and a head coach do. They admitted that they were looking forward to Clemson when they were playing Louisville. Everybody's like, why did y'all play such a bad game? And Brian Kelly was like, yeah, we were looking a little ahead to Clemson. And you had players talking about it too. I've never seen that. I think if a player or a coach said that, or if Dabo said, he'd fire himself if he ended up saying that in a public presser. But I think Clemson they were looking a little ahead to Notre Dame as well, going up against Syracuse. I mean, it is what it is, right? But I don't think I think a lot of people are saying that this game is going to shape up to be one of the best games of college football because we've seen Notre Dame go down to Athens, Georgia, and give Georgia a really, really big battle. I'm not impressed by that.
I just can't buy into this Notre Dame team ever. And honestly, I would be saying Clemson by 21 plus if this game was being played in Death Valley.
Oh, yeah.
And the only reason I think that this game could get a little shaky is it's being played in South Bend. It's a tough place to play typically with no COVID. I know there's not going to be a crowd, but it's still not an easy place to play, obviously.
I'm going ahead and say it now.
You'd rather play. I think Clemson wins by 2 scores.
I think Clemson wins by 3 scores.
Yeah.
If Clemson gets in a rhythm.
I mean, we saw Clemson win by 4 scores in a freaking playoff game.
That's my point. You've already beaten a team. Honestly, that Notre Dame team is the best Notre Dame team of Brian Kelly's. Even better than the national championship.
It's probably their best team of the decade.
Yes. Because you had Ian Book, who at that point was looked at as one of the better teams. I literally think they're going to blow out Notre Dame. I'll just go ahead and say that. And a lot of people have been like, Ellis, you're wrong. They said that when I said it about Alabama. I just feel like Clemson's going to get up for that big game. We know how Clemson is in big games. I think they're going to blow them out. That's what it is.